The Ryback Show starts now. Welcome to the Ryback Show Monday Live. I am the big guy Ryback coming at you. We're also here. We're on TikTok and Instagram, the big guy Ryback 22. Guys, it is always presented by Feed Me More Nutrition, premium supplements sweetened with stevia and monk fruit, no artificial sweeteners and colors for men and women, vegan friendly, available on feedmemore.com. And as always, save 20% just for listening to this show with discount code Ryback Show 20. Ryback Show 20. Save 20% on your Feed Me More Nutrition orders, guys. Good to see all of you. I'm deep into a fast here and that I started yesterday. Doing well, having a little coffee, a little grape Zevia. I'm really parched. I just had a 90-minute session on my shoulder across town, came back and did more softball and actually figured out a new way to stick a tennis ball on a bamboo stick and put that against the wall and then drive my arm, put that into my trap, and I'm able to get the top of my trap, which I'm not able to get lying on the ground with the softball because you can only get, obviously, a certain surface area. And just continuing to figure the final steps out. And we had some good stuff today with the therapist that I see that does a lot of the manipulation, and things are going well. It's there's one. How many? I would say we're getting down to the nitty gritty on the areas of give me trouble, like sticking this arm. This is my good arm, and I go all the way across. This arm I can go across, but it doesn't go all the way, and I have feelings of weakness and, like, I don't want to say necessarily like pain, but where there's scar tissue in the back of the shoulder still that we got to figure out a way to get that. And she was able to get some of it today when we wrapped up the session. So, and that's not as like that sort of thing is just getting full range of motion. And like, I don't want to be weak in any position. And it's just a matter of getting that tissue to stretch. We've gotten so much of this. So it's, I'm like I can hang from the pull-up bars pain-free, and it feels very normal. Whereas before it was so locked up and tight, like I knew it wasn't right. And so it's just continuing to do day in and day out what I've been doing and applying new techniques, seeing the 3 therapists every week, and my training, do everything I do. I can control conditioning, weight training, and just keep getting stronger, keep getting in better shape, so that when clearance is allowed, as far as when we know we're ready, it's a very short turnaround time for everything else as far as wrestling goes. So that's what's going on with me. Very repetitive as always, but as I've found in my life, in oftentimes, if not almost damn near every time, is in having success and getting the results that we want, it's repeating good behaviors over and over and over again. So while it may seem repetitive to some people, that's oftentimes what some people, if not almost all people, lack, is the ability to do work consistently in a beneficial way. So I've taken that philosophy that has helped me in so many things and just simply applied it to this. And here we are, like I said, marching down the field in the 4th quarter, and I have no doubt we are going to score. I did have a good 4th of July. I hope all of you had a good 4th of July as well. I was able to watch fireworks here in my backyard. A lot of the neighbors had a very good assortment, and so we're out by the pool and enjoyed a few drinks. And there was all out by me by the desert. There were a lot of the illegal fireworks and in the neighborhoods, actually, which I'm not as thrilled about that, because we actually, in the morning, there were some fireworks in my backyard and a few in the front from those big ones when people shoot them off, and then the pieces land in your yard. And which obviously, if I'm home, I'm not too concerned, but that's how fires and shit happens. And now with a lot more people out here, A lot of people used to buy the fireworks from the stands. Like have you ever seen the regular it depends where you're from, if they're legal or not. But here, since I was a kid, they'd always have the TNT stands. And don't get me wrong, those are cool. You light them all off the ground, and they got some pretty decent ones with those. But once you've seen them, your whole life essentially, they lose appeal. And granted, I've seen some of the best fireworks in the world and different things and performing. And so don't get me wrong. Last night though, there were some pretty cool ones still. When they have those illegal ones they light off, and when people will light off like anywhere from like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, up to 20 monster ones, they all sync it up. And man, it's quite the sight. So I didn't spend a damn dollar on fireworks, but I had a hell of a show right from my backyard, had some drinks, beautiful time. So good question on this. Hello, Ryback. Would you consider hunting your meat instead of being vegan? As hunting saves more animals than buying plants, as when you buy crops, more animals die from that than by hunting. And again, so I don't know if you have any numbers on that. And what I would say is so that's a horrible argument with that. And just because in the crop farming, there's ways they don't have to kill all the other little tinier animals and things of that nature, right? And they're also not purposely going and torturing, as far as to the best of my knowledge. That aside, animals aside, the vegan diet is superior to a meat-eating diet in every way possible. And once you figure that out, now I'm not saying if there was something every once in a blue moon, you're eating is clean and getting it from is best of a farm that treats the animals as well as possible. At the end of the day, they're still killing the animals, and they don't have to, right? But at the end of the day, there are more humane ways of doing things. Problem is, the majority of people aren't doing this, guys. We're destroying the planet. There's and we're all eating too much. As far as the people eating meat, they're eating way too much chicken, way too much fish. We are just the typical American and the world spoiled with all of this, and it's destroying the world. And once you understand from a performance standpoint that when you do the vegan diet correctly, man, and you get your sodium under control, which that's another thing, by the way, the book I'm going to recommend to you guys, Salt Wars. It's on Audible. Get the book. It's called Salt Wars. I think Michael Frederick. I believe that's it, but it's called Salt Wars. It is a red cover for the book. I'm already into the beginning of it. It's very good on the overconsumption of sodium and what is going on. And I believe is going to be my secret weapon that's not so secret on what's going to fuel me to looking my all-time best and being the healthiest I've ever been, along with the vegan diet. Now, with that said, why would I go? Why would I have to go hunt animals when I know that the diet that I'm eating, meat at the end of the day contributes to heart disease? Now, if you're able to control that and eat very minuscule amounts here and there, but my thing is why? And again, once you understand when you do the vegan diet, and don't get me wrong, taste and all that, I get it. And to elaborate on this further with what we're seeing, I just saw the first lab-grown sushi places opening in California. And I would be very open to that on occasion for, like, I would say, and with the lab-grown fish at the sushi place that they do, they've removed all the toxins and all the mercury. So you're eating clean protein as far as that. What I am interested in, I need to get more information on this stuff as far as like steak and things of that nature and beef, is when they start doing this, because I've talked about it here before. That is the future. And I think those are the companies, and we get away from torturing the animals, and we'll find a way for animal control and for everything else. All the problems people think you're going to have by us not just reproducing cattle to torture in mass amounts, right? That and to feed them with all the soybeans, 80% of the world's soybean production. And people think then there's far more animals than people on the planet that they're doing this with. So people like will say too, if everyone vegan, we would have even more problems. No, we want it with that. But at the end of the day, I think the future is going to be lab grown meat, and it's going to be cleaner. And I think technology will prevail in that. And that is going to be anyone that goes, oh, that's gross. I go, what you're doing is gross under the current situations with antibiotics and hormones and diseases. So I think that's going to be the future. I will be interested in seeing with that stuff. And again, they're not going to have studies on this stuff for so long, which is why I think it will be something I will indulge in every once in a blue moon, if that's the case. And because don't get me wrong, in the flavor and everything and the taste, that a lot of that is, but at the end of the day, maybe not. I'm so happy right now with what I'm doing and evolving my diet and getting better and seeing the results from a performance standpoint. So I don't know, man. And again, with as far as what you talk about here with is the animals dying and the crops and the plants, there's ways they can improve all of that, by the way. And that's just a matter of companies improving and finding different methods and things, but they're not purposely going into, the best of my knowledge. And again, there's a lot of factors in this. We're not literally breeding animals to let them suffer and torture them with what we're doing under the current factory farming methods. So there's so many levels to this, and people don't understand. And meat eaters, like you guys, you're eating too much. And everyone, though, it's a personal choice. You're destroying the planet. It's not going to be a personal choice at some point in time, as far as under the current guidelines and current situation that we're in. I promise you. I absolutely promise you. So we need to do, and this is where I said nutrition education is key, that needs to be implemented into the beginning of a child's life when they can start learning. And we need to, a lot of things that we think are so normal aren't normal. And skills we need to learn, and not everyone's going to be able to do it and grow your own vegetables and your fruits and vegetables. Not everyone, not even close to has the land for that, and right, or the time. I get it. But we need to do better overall as a whole. And again, there's so many different things at play with all of this. We're reproducing. I think there needs to be guidelines on reproducing. I think that if you are not capable of taking care of yourself and you don't meet a certain criteria, you shouldn't be allowed to have kids. And this is something we have to look forward to the future with, how we are destroying the planet. We are the problem. We are, and for every person that does the right thing, there's 1,000 that are doing things just in such destructive ways. So we need to be better. Yeah, man, the vegan food that I eat, I just did the new Feeding Time video today with Tarantino's vegan restaurant. I tell you, you're not going to miss a thing. And that's not stuff you just eat all the time, right? And that's what I've taught, and I talk about that. But for a cheat meal, maybe you do it twice a week. For something like that, it very easily could fit into your diet. But the more we could stay to eating fresh fruits and vegetables and plants and things, guys, rice, black rice. Black rice is something I knew nothing about. I love black rice. Black rice is great for your skin, great for your face. My massage therapist, she saw me today. She goes, you look younger every time I see you. And I go, I honestly believe, and like I was telling her about the sodium, and this is the beginning of, we're a week in change now, 10 days in on the eating normal sodium, normal, not even low, normal, right? Under 2,300 milligrams a day. And I'm probably going to drop that even more and probably drop it to closer to 1,500. Because in that book, everything I'm reading, I think it's truly going to be a key to staying youthful and keeping inflammation down, and even making blood flow even better, allowing endurance to be better, allowing the protein that I'm consuming to work better to build more muscle as I continue to improve and get healthier and get older. But we've been so spoiled, and this book, Salt Wars, talks about this a lot on all the foods. Would you guys know, going out to eat, and the book talks about it, and this is just in the beginning, if you go out to eat at your fast food restaurant or dine-in restaurants, not fast food, dine-in restaurants are the biggest culprits of high sodium in the meals. There are meals at many of the restaurants that we go to, all of us go to, or have gone to, with meals between 7 and 12,000 milligrams of sodium per meal. We are supposed to be at 2,300 milligrams or less, in that 1,500 to 2,300 milligram, or in that vicinity. 7 to 12,000 in one meal. That's what I'm telling you guys. And the book even says that the average numbers of people are closer to that in the 4,000 milligram range, not 3,400 that they've been saying. I think they're purposely saying that so people don't freak out. I truly believe the average American is way, way above what they are saying, with especially Americans and everybody with condiments and things. I would say we are way, way, way over. And I have no way of estimating. All I know is if a guy like me, and again, I'm only eating 4 meals a day now these days. I used to eat a lot more, and I was using condiments and things. I don't even want to know at its highest what I was consuming. I don't want to know. I just know it was ridiculous. And I'm probably luckily sweated a lot and trained like crazy. And so I was able to probably, excrete a lot of that through sweating. But even then, never could have been as lean as I could have been. And my body was working harder than it needed to be working with that. But I think it's the one thing it's not talked about enough. And I go, why isn't that talked about? And it's one of the number one contributors to, again, heart disease, hypertension, and people dying young. And I go, why isn't this talked about more? That it kills more people than COVID. Why isn't the news, the war on salt? Because there's so much money invested from all these companies, nobody wants to change with it. So, and that just makes perfect sense when you know the way the world works. And I go, that is, why don't they talk about this more? And yet all these experts are telling us, got to get the sodium down, got to get the sodium down. And the communities around the world that eat super low sodium diets, that's what we used to eat, right? We would get a little bit here and there. We used to consume much, much less overall, are the healthiest people on the planet. It's not a coincidence. What do we got going on, guys? All right, let's see. We got a super chat from Christina. Good to see you. Is it best to lose then gain, or does it matter? I think it depends on what your goals are on that, as far as, is it best to lose weight first or gain weight first? Now, if you're severely overweight, it's going to make sense. You need to lose weight. You need to get healthier with that. And I always say it depends on where you're at health-wise, what symptoms or things you have, what pre-existing conditions, your medical condition, which requires going to a doctor and getting a physical and getting a checkup, getting lab work done. You need to know what's best as far as your health, where you currently stand. I think the lower we keep our body fat in terms of healthy ranges, you never want to let that go too crazy. And even people, oftentimes people in the fitness and bodybuilding worlds are the unhealthiest people on the planet. I've seen in women and ones I know, they're like, oh, I'm dirty bulking, and they're just putting on all this body fat. They're lazy. At the end of the day, all they're looking to do, they think that because they go to the gym for an hour a day or an hour and a half, they can eat like shit all the time, and I'm dirty bulking. No, you're being lazy. And so you want to keep your body fat levels in check at all times. It serves no purpose to let that skyrocket, and our health will suffer in the long run and the short term as well doing that. And you eat a lot of junk food like that. With the sugar and the sodium in the foods, that's the stuff that's giving everyone these ridiculous cravings where you think you can't ever, you guys, when you like, oh, I do a 24-hour fast, you're like, oh my God, I can't go an hour without eating, or I can't go 2 hours. That's because you're eating all the wrong stuff. Your body's so out of whack. And you got to start doing these little things and making adjustments so that you have control of your life, because you don't have control with this. But as far as, is it better to lose or to gain? It depends on your goals and what you're trying to do. I think it's always good to get your body fat down into a low range before you're going to do a bulk. But it depends on what your time frame is, what your goals are, and what you're doing it for, right? If you're John Jones and you're training to be heavyweight in the UFC, and you're on a time frame, you're maybe you're happy with where your current body fat level is. Doesn't matter. You're trying to get to a certain weight, and then you can cut down after, right? But you got to make sure you can get to a certain weight first. And you want to do as cleanly and as good as possible. But he's on a time frame, right? There's a certain, as far as a sense of urgency with things. But for most people, if you're not working within something like that, get your body fat down first, depending on where it's at, then go from there. See where that other super chat went. I saw that, buddy. Thank you for the correct question. We got another one here. That was the same one. Where'd that other one? I don't see the other one. Should I eat more cooked or raw vegetables? I think always, I think doing both. I like to cook my performance meals. But at the same time, like my tomatoes, I'll usually have 2 tomatoes every day with the potassium salt. And, the other day, I'm tracking my sodium since I've switched to doing my big pot of red beans, navy beans, pinto beans, and black beans, in lentils and quinoa and black rice. And I make all these balanced meals with my kale and cilantro and parsley and some red onion and peppers. And I just bought a bunch of new seasonings and sauces, actually, on Amazon, low to no sodium seasoning. The seasoning I got, or a 6-pack of no sodium seasoning. I can't wait to try it. I think it's really going to add more flavor to my meals. And then some Thai peanut low sodium sauce and more hot wing sauce with that. But I think a balance of that stuff, I think raw vegetables are great for snacks, especially if you got a low sodium dipping sauce, or you're using a little bit, depending on if you're vegan or not, and you're using like a vegan ranch or whatever you're using, and you're consuming, some broccoli and celery, some carrots. I think that kind of stuff is great raw like that, right? And then the other stuff I like, to cook with my performance meals. But that kind of stuff is great for snacks late at night. I tell you guys, there's so much, and it's so satisfying when you really start getting into this and your palate adjust. Fruits and vegetables, man, I love my fruit bowl in the morning that I do. It's so good. I enjoy fruit more than I ever have. And the sugar in it hits your body different than processed sugars and carbohydrates. And that's what I'm finding. And I'm seeing areas that I held on to body fat that was always stubborn is just melting off. And I know too, like with the sodium now being normal, and I go, man, this is like tapping into the fountain of youth. But a lot of us, and I tell you guys, this is why I want you to read the book Salt Wars. I could solve a lot of your problems with that book right there alone on a lot of you with weight issues. And I think if we start becoming more conscious of our sodium, there's not enough people talking about this. And it's one of the biggest, if not the most important thing that we need to be looking out for. And a lot of the weight that people are holding on to, you're going to lose, and you're going to feel so much better and get rid of a ton of inflammation. Yeah, so here we go. This is Justin. What's up, buddy? Maybe get my coffee cup the correct way. One time I stayed at the MGM in Vegas during a bodybuilding competition, and this one guy said he had 5 Big Macs, 3 large fries, and 2 large drinks just for himself. Dirty bulking is real in that world. 100%. This all started in the bodybuilding magazines too, with all the roided out bodybuilders. These guys were trying to play this. You're dealing with guys that don't have the best genetics for size to begin with, which is usually oftentimes you'll see guys that are really like big in shape. I like to say like with similar genetics to me, where you can put on size fairly easily, where you don't feel this drive and desire to like do steroids because you're just big, you're in shape, you have certain genetics. There's a portion of people out there that can't get that no matter what, so they turn to steroids, and then they become massive steroid addicts when they get addicted to that whole world. But they need to consume so many calories for their metabolism that they start doing that. And that's why you see those guys that it's in combination with all the steroids and their eating habits. They're just so unhealthy with that. And a lot of them aren't good with nutrition. Some are, some, not very many, some. The majority have no clue with that, and they do stupid shit like that. And then regular people that are like, man, I want to put on weight, I'm going to do that too. One, you're not taking all the steroids they're taking, and then two, you don't realize that all the damage you're doing to yourself. You know. What do we got going on? Another super chat. I'm WFPB, great platform. Thanks, big guy. Thank you very much, Christina, and I'm glad I could hopefully help out a little bit. We're all just trying to learn here. We're going to go ahead and throw him down a pit of spikes. Yeah, good question here. What do I think of Matt Stoney? Oh, saludos from Mexico. Hola, mi amigo. Muy bien. ¿Y tú? What do I think of Matt Stoney's videos? And for the people listening that don't know who Matt Stoney is, you could type his name in YouTube. His videos are the guy is probably one of the best YouTube channels as far as content, as far as what the amount of views that he generates on his videos. And I will say the ability to consume the amount of food that he does, and he's not big at all. He's tiny, actually. This guy can consume as much food, if not more food, than anyone on the planet in record time, for time, for distance. The guy is he's a freak of nature with that. That said, in learning the things, and I've done some of those videos on YouTube, anywhere near anything what he did. I did a few of the little quick speed eating ones, and I think I can consume food pretty damn fast, and I've done pretty damn decent at some of them. But the as far as the big videos with like the amount of food and eating the entire menu of Chick-fil-A or eating, I mean, he's constantly trying to outdo himself, and he can. The guy's more than capable of it. With that, the amount of sodium and calories and just harmful things he's consuming all at once, and the stress that he's putting on his body, is something I would say I don't think he's going to be able to do forever. I think there has to come a point where, and I don't know how old he is now. He's been doing it for quite some time, where he's going to have to say, I might have to not do this anymore. And we saw that with like the man versus food guy. He eventually had to stop as he got older in his health. He had some serious health complications. You know, Matt, I don't know if Matt, I would assume Matt throws up after he does his videos. I can't say that with 100% fact. I don't know if he's admitted to it or not. I don't know. I don't know if it's something he doesn't talk about, doesn't want people to know. I don't see how he consumes all that. And again, maybe he does and just goes to bed. But I mean, all the sugars. And so from a diabetic standpoint, I would assume he throws that stuff up as soon as the video's over to get it out of his body, which is unhealthy in a whole other way. And the stress you're causing, swings you're causing in your body, right? And even with that, some of those videos go over an hour. He's digesting, and a lot of that sugar and stuff and sodium is getting into the bloodstream regardless. But the guy doesn't, as far as from a weight standpoint, he doesn't look like he's ever put on a pound with it. I just don't. I think it's something, you know, it's his life, and he's going to do what he does. And the videos get great views because it's so extreme. And there's other guys like him out there that do very similar things. You know, it's not something I would want to do regularly and won't. And now knowing, you know, even too, you know, he does videos where he's done like these do like monster jar of pickles where they're consuming God knows how much sodium, right, that are in those jars. I mean, it's a ridiculous amount. I mean, thousands upon thousands, probably in the size jar. I wouldn't be shocked if he's done videos where he's consuming 20, 30, 40, 50,000 milligrams of sodium. I wouldn't throw, I guarantee you there's videos that he's done that much. So it's, we'll just have to see. I think it's a dangerous game though, in a way. I'm not a big chips guy, believe it or not, guys. The Ruffles video, I didn't even buy those. They were sent to me. Those were Canadian Ruffles, and sent to me by a fan to my PO box that sent me a box of Canadian treats. So I used the chips to do the video. I should thank her again for that, because that video is about to hit 1 million here on YouTube. Yeah, I actually got to check. That's a good question. I'll check back because I had them ready to go. I got to actually put in quite a few reorders tomorrow when I get my inventory report for Feed Me More Nutrition on everything. And maybe I'll pop an order in for those food trays. I forgot about that with the Feed Me More Nutrition Hungry logo. I know a lot of people seemed interested in those. Super chat from Mitchell. Hey, Shotanus. Could you explain what it was like waiting behind the curtain for your Feed Me More and during your entrance? I always look forward to yours. Thank you very much. A lot of fun, always, and always to I've come out to some pretty cool pops, if you will, from TV, with being put in some really cool scenarios to generate a massive reaction, which is always very, very cool. I'm so caught up in the moment, though. It's sometimes I have to go back, and it's one of those things you go back and watch. You go, whoa! I remember just because in the back, I would always pour usually 2 ice cold bottles of water on me, and that's where the wake up came from, because that was my way of waking up in the back, because I'd be very calm and very at times, and that would put me into fight mode almost, if you will. And I'd do it. I have a trash can in gorilla position, and I would pour 1 bottle, and then I would pour another. I would try to time it. Sometimes there would be breaks and things that would get added on, and then I'd have to go grab another bottle or 2. And I hated wasting water like that, but that was always the routine, and it would get the nerves, like, just kind of everything woken up. And I feel like it would help me get my eyes to the crazy eyes. And so that was always kind of the pregame ritual, and very grateful always. Live events, a lot of fun, going out and hearing those crowds, and really, really cool, man. So that was usually the routine, and it was always an experience, that's for sure. They did a fantastic job on the theme song. I'm very grateful that I have a theme song that I feel resonated with the people, and it was very important to me in having great theme music, because I believe it's one of the most important things to getting over. I believe the character is really a big chunk of that, but without the music, the character, you got to have the music for the character. And then once that happens, it's the character, and then they complement each other. But I think, if you're debuting and you don't have the right music, I think it hurts you, and it can prevent you from getting over. Whereas if you got the badass music already at play, it takes that out of the equation, and it creates excitement, and then it allows people to be more open to you. Because getting over in wrestling is not easy. That's why not majority can't do it. Some can, majority can't. It's not easy. And having a thorough understanding of what it takes to get over, and a confidence in yourself to completely let loose, and to just, and it's all energy based. It is all energy based. And I firmly believe that. Let's see what we got here. Silly boy Sonia. You and Otunga were my favorite members of Nexus. I feel like Otunga could have been a solid U.S. champ with his law gimmick with John Laurinaitis. Yeah, I love David a lot. David, too, his physique is ridiculous, especially these days. He looks fantastic as he's gotten older. And me and Dave always have gotten along. We actually tagged the night that I broke my ankle in Hawaii. We were actually scheduled up, if I'm not mistaken, we were going to feud with the Hart Dynasty, and I believe me and Otunga were going to win the tag titles. And that all came to a halt when I broke my ankle on that, and I felt horrible with that. And I liked tagging with Dave a lot, and I think it would have really helped each other. We were both so new, and I think, and I was still finding myself too, in a way, as far as who I was identity wise, because Skip Sheffield, as we knew it, was going to start. I was much more serious, I was essentially Ryback in Nexus, just with a stupid name, right? but it all happened. Everything was a blessing the way that it worked out at the end of the day. But I do agree. I think Dave definitely had potential with things, and it never really. It just wasn't, the roles never went all the way with that. And I think Dave could have done a fantastic narcissistic Lex Luger type gimmick as well, with the way that he did a little bit with it on Raw. I always really enjoyed that and thought that had legs. And Dave always worked really hard. But Dave was such a nice guy. He would be always, and again, maybe wrestling experience wise, he came in and he hadn't wrestled, but he worked really hard and he applied. And I thought Dave is good at speaking, and with his words, and in other aspects of his character, where I think he could have been used better for sure in that. But I thought he always did fantastic for anything that was ever asked of him, and he's done well in his life. I'm super proud of him. And anytime I see him, last time I saw Dave was in the Las Vegas airport a few years ago. I was coming back from probably one of my last shows that I did, and he was here for, I think, the Mr. O, the bodybuilding thing, and he was flying out, and I had just got in. And we just literally ran into each other. We both like our Starbucks, and had like a little 10-minute, 15-minute conversation, catching up. And it's like with guys like that, it's like you never miss a beat. He has his life and things. We follow each other on social media, and I always enjoy it. I love seeing him with his son growing up, and I think he's a fantastic father. So it's cool, the guys, to be able to still, social media is good in that regards, in my opinion, too. For people that and want to follow, and you don't even have to talk to them all the time, but you can keep up with their lives. That's one of the cool positives of social that's probably not talked about enough. What's up, Jake? Good to see you, buddy. Jake Truman. My relationship with my girlfriend of over a year ended today. Need some advice from the awesome big guy. One, I hope you're doing all right, man. Something I learned many years ago, and it's not always easy, but every relationship has a purpose. Every relationship is not meant to last forever. I think the key in all of it, regardless of how it ends, of what happened, is to be respectful of each other's wants, and depending if it's a mutual thing or just a singular thing. But I think if you're able to keep the mindset that every relationship isn't meant to last forever, and be grateful for the time that you had, and look at the positives of the situation of what was good, and then the things that weren't good that you will be able to take from and apply at a later date in a new relationship, will serve you greatly. It's all our mindset. Now, if you take it as a negative, and you hold a lot of animosity and negativity and hate and constantly messaging and focus, you know what I'm saying? It's just not a healthy behavior. Then things aren't going to be good. But I think if you take what I said and kind of apply that and give it some time, obviously, whenever, and especially if you're really, it's one of the deals. It's a real heartbreak, and I've been there. Like you just got to give it time. But that's where a positive mindset and staying active, not dwelling, not you got to keep moving, and you're going to be sad. You're going to miss at different times because there's an attachment in that, and there's memories that are ingrained in the brain. I think it takes time with it, but if you focus on the positives and be grateful for the experience and truly in your heart want the best for them, I think it allows you to shift out of the negative as quickly as possible and kicking ass again, and sooner rather than later. That would be what I have to say on that. But hope you're doing well, buddy, and always appreciate seeing you here. I'm a big fan of Kale. Yeah, I believe Kale is much better to consume than lettuce. I think if you're going to do salads, lettuce has very little nutritional value. Lettuce, though, can be beneficial from the standpoint of getting some bulk of consuming more. I would say you're better off, though, doing kale and spinach salads. If you could buy the either fresh or the bagged kale, I love the bagged kale. It's the same thing. It's just bagged. with it. Um, with the spinach leaves, I think you're getting so much more bang for your buck nutrition wise on that than regular lettuce. Now, if you mix a little lettuce in with that, I'm cool with that. And I think that can help. But I think kale and spinach salads for sure are better. Strongest wrestler I worked with, Big E. Me and Big E. Big E was definitely Big E's a freak of nature. Yeah, Joseph, you're already keeping your sodium at 2,500 milligrams or less and feel the difference already. I'm telling you, it is. I could tell in my body on things. I keep getting more and more limber, and I go. I was consuming so much and doing all these things that was producing so much inflammation in my body. I wasn't even giving myself a chance to overcome this, and that's why I look at things. And when you keep the mindset that everything happens for your favor and benefit, the world kind of blesses you in a way, and the energy of the universe and God, it kind of blesses you to good things when you keep that mindset. Not always easy. But. Walter, good. Okay. So I'm going to bring something to your attention on these. Hey, big guy, I tried the Beyond Italian sausage yesterday. It was really good. I agree. It was my favorite part of my breakfast in the morning. The problem with them is each sausage has 500 milligrams of sodium. I was consuming 2 of them. So what I might do though, and because my diet, I do need a little bit of salt in my diet, and because I was looking, what I'm going to probably end up doing is doing one meal of the 3 meals that I eat during the day. One of those meals having the Beyond meat or the No Evil, and it will allow me convenience wise to get a good amount of sodium in, and then where I'm not getting as much throughout the others, and where it will keep me at the number that I want to kind of stay at. And because I do enjoy that stuff, it's just I eat for the protein. I was eating a little too much, not like a ton, but I was eating a little bit with every meal, and that those sodium numbers can creep up. I think if you just limit yourself to it one time a day, and then you really focus on fresh foods, and I'm telling you guys, buying things fresh and organic is cheaper if you buy when you cook it yourself. And like I learned, like beans, you let them soak for like anywhere all day, or you put beans in a big pot of water, mass cook them for the week, put them in a pot and let them soak overnight, and then you cook them for like 3 or 4 hours on a low temperature the following day with the lid on, and they come out really, really nice. You got beans all week. And then for the beans, it's 113 grams cooked is a serving size where I'm getting 10 grams of protein, 25 grams of carbs, and 5 grams of fiber. So I'll do 2 servings with 2 of my meals on that. And then this is and then I figure in, and I've measured out all my other food. I got the numbers in my food. I know how much lentils, I know how much a serving, and I'm able to then, what I'll do is I'll do this for a few weeks of actually eyeballing it onto the scale into my pan. And then then I'll understand. I go, okay, I know how much I need to be putting in roughly. Then I won't have to measure it every single damn time. And I get good at that because it's repetition. And then you understand portion sizes, and then life gets really easy. Now ideally I want to be able to do this in meal prep and put them in my things. But I like cooking my food fresh too on the stove with certain things. So it's a balance with that. But I think if you limit the Beyond stuff to once a day, and making sure you're kind of tracking your sodium with other things, you'll be all right then. I agree. They're my favorite of all the plant-based meats. So I fist bumped you at a WWE event. I always was big on the fist bump. I was a big Psycho Sid fan growing up, and still am. The guys, to me, man, Psycho Sid Vicious. It was so over. He was truly the man, the master and ruler of the universe. I absolutely loved him, man. When him, Diesel, the power bombs, the monster. Oh, those guys were kick ass. There's just not guys like that in wrestling anymore, because they were cool too. And they knew how to work. They knew how to work their size. They knew how to work their gimmick. They just knew how to work. They knew how to work the big, strong style, man. It's like, I feel like if there was a guy like that came along today, he'd be doing handstands and gymnastics and trying to show people that he could do stuff that other. I'm like, man, those were the guys. Thank you for watching Elimination Chamber. That was the match went to all hell, but it was a fun experience nonetheless. So there was a good question on there. Let me see. Yes, sodium essentially is salt. Is like as far as there's different way. It's you're tracking sodium though. Because I know like there's a difference, but it's sodium is what we're tracking essentially, and sodium is in salt. With that, I got to look. I'll be able to give you a better explanation on that tomorrow, Captain Sloppy. But sodium is what we're tracking essentially. Appreciate everyone joining Instagram and TikTok. We got the video where the kid jumped on the guy's head, and I was told that the guy was all right. Well, from the video that I saw it from, and I know other people are commenting he died. A lot of kids just will do that just to get attention in the chat and everything. It looked horrific though. That video I think has over 5 million views in like 16 hours or 17 hours on TikTok. Has 103 or something on Instagram, which is nowhere near what it should, but it's at least doing decent on Instagram. And then on Twitter, it didn't do anything. I think it was at 3% impressions, which is above the 0.5 to 1. But the engagement was over 10. I think the engagement was 12%, and they're not showing it to people. And it's again, so I posted that. But TikTok always, man, is my platform because there's no suppression on my account there. So things are allowed to take off. Whereas on the other ones, I've never had a video going 1 million views on Instagram, not one that I can remember on anything, even though despite having a following where it should. And then in Twitter is since 2016 just absolutely piss poor. So, but hoping to get that all resolved as quickly as possible. Justin, have I tried mud water coffee alternative? No, I'll look that up though. I've not heard of that. Yeah, I'm approaching next week will be 11 months vegan. What's my favorite non-vegan food that I miss? That's a great question. So when I do like with the vegan, like on the Beyond Burgers and like Modern Vegan has their burgers there, I think are better to me than regular hamburgers. Now, I really, really like their Beyond Big Mac was better than a regular Big Mac by 1,000 times better. So I don't miss that kind of stuff. I will say, I've had Cafe Nofer had the chicken wings where you and they have them on a stick, and the texture is very, very good. And you have the buffalo sauce and the ranch. It is very, very close. I would like to try those with a garlic parmesan as well. I got to check those out next time I'm there and see if they can do a garlic parmesan, because that's something I do. Those I used to love when I would have the garlic parmesan wings from Buffalo Wild Wings or Pizza Hut, and the buffalo wings as well. But I feel like I get my fix when I've done the food videos with those. So my answer is going to be the garlic parmesan wings, and I was always a big fan of Texas de Brazil. All the sodium, by the way, is why they make those meats taste so good in the garlic seasoning. And I would eat. My card was green. Big guy'd go to Texas de Brazil. That card's green for a couple hours, guys. I just leave it. I don't even flip it over. I just let them pile meat up. I just tell them, whatever you just walk by, just give me one. Hit me up. Give me one. Hit me. And but I'll say with the vegan foods, like I don't miss like the Philly cheesesteak that I had at Cafe Nofer. That was the best Philly cheesesteak I've ever had on that. And so in a lot of it's seasoning and flavoring. So, but to answer your question with that stuff, I do miss occasionally not like the garlic Parmesan wings. Like, oh man, that sounds good. But it's the seasoning I miss more than anything. It's not the wing. Because like I've never gotten chicken wings. And I don't know, and I'm sure there are people out there, but how many times do you just order chicken wings with no sauce, no dip, and you just eat the wings plain? Not that good. So it's not really, it's just the seasoning. And that's what was always explained to me by Austin Aries. And I go, you're right. And so, that's where a lot of the plant-based versions actually taste better with this stuff, and the seitan and the way they're able to make the meats, the plant-based meats and the texture, are fantastic. So that's going to be, I appreciate you asking that, because I'm going to try to get me some garlic Parmesan. Maybe that'll be the next cheat meal. I'll see if a place can do, there's a few wing places that do the vegan wings. See if they can do me some garlic Parmesan. Thank you for the Wake Up Unlimited Energy. Yeah, man, our pre-workout is second to none. If you guys suffer from a lack of energy, I can't stress this enough. Check out my Feed Me More Nutrition Wake Up Unlimited Energy. 0 calories. It's fasting and keto safe. We have pink lemonade, mango candy, and green apple. Guys, I take it first thing in the morning when I do my morning work. I love waking up and I sit out back with the dogs, let Sophie and little guy go to the bathroom. Sophie likes to get some sun early in the morning, and usually it's not too hot out there yet. And I'll just sit out there, and I have the view of the pool, the waterfall, the palm trees, and I'll drink my half my Wake Up Unlimited Energy out there. Then come in, I'll fill it back up, start cooking my performance meal, and get all ready. I get my ice packs, get everything all ready. And then I eat my morning meal, eat my fruit, my performance meal, and I do my morning work for about 3 or 4 hours, and kind of get my day all geared up, what I'm going to do for the day and what workout I'm going to do and what all I have to get done. So, but I highly suggest it. It's and the products are also going to be on Amazon here. I think a lot of them are already. The Shell Shock Extreme Fat Burner, though, working with a company with the goal of getting it to a bestseller on Amazon. I think we're going to do it. I really believe in them. I got to go check and see if they got the product pages up, but they've been approved. They did a really good job, and I anticipate some big sales with the Shell Shock, as it's our bestseller already, but moving forward on Amazon. Yeah, guys, I apologize, everyone on Instagram or TikTok. I don't go live when I'm on there because I'm talking with everybody streaming, and this is streamed. It goes right out to podcast. All the podcast. Spit it out, Junior. All the podcast platforms out there shortly after the show finishes every time. So that's why I try to do a better job, because sometimes I could forget that and we're live. I try to, if you ever wonder like why I will repeat a question a certain way, or it's to give context to the people listening on audio only, exactly what the hell I'm talking about. Because otherwise, if I just kind of like see something and respond to something but don't recite it, it's that if you're not following live on Twitch or Ryback TV or Periscope, then you might be like, what the hell? Can I please eat the Beyond Sausage sandwich at Dunkin', which has hash browns? I did that already. There's a video. YouTube that. I've already done that video, buddy, on there. A good chance if it's vegan. They've done a lot of food videos. Those things add up over time. Who was the most? Big Show was the easiest to shell shock. The other two didn't like getting picked up as much, but they still. Mark could jump really good. I would say I'm going to go with Tenzai. I think his Tenzai was a little more beat up, and his build was a little different. but I shell shocked him. I did before we did the one that where I didn't get him. That was all my fault. I had already shell shocked him, I think, twice before that with ease, and that was part of the problem too. I think it was just got too comfortable. When you got guys of that weight, you got to make sure you're hooked. His build was different, where I got to make sure I'm under. I didn't get low enough on him, because if I did, it's easy. The weight was the problem was I front loaded him, where I was trying to pick him up from like his mid lat. It was just physically impossible for the weight to swing up the way that I was doing it, to no fault of his own. No, there never was any issues with Mark picking him up. We always, anytime we ever needed to do it, we did it. I will say I might have been the most. He's just such a large human being. He's built. He's very thick. Where he was back then. Would I ever consider being a trainer in NXT? I'm not even remotely. That's not even a thought that I've literally never thought that once. I'm concerned with going back wrestling and being in my prime for many, many years. That's not even on my brain. I'm not even close to being. My worst years are already behind me. My pain and being done, like those 34, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'm all better pretty much now. And I'll never go back to what I was pain wise again. So, but I don't even, that's not something I'm more, and I'm going to say never to that. I'm such an entrepreneur mindset in business. And I think always be involved. I like the creative aspect of pro wrestling. And the physical, I get mad at people because I don't think I'd be a good trainer, because I as far as knowing physically what I just wouldn't want to. The time, anything, just not my thing. You miss Judge Ryback. Judge Ryback, yeah. We're gonna have to maybe do another Judge Ryback video. I was always a steak guy, but when I talk about chicken wise, I always grilled chicken and stuff, but I was always a chicken wing guy. Like if I'm going to eat, like as far as if health wise, grilled chicken when I was doing it. And then but chicken wings were like a treat, like a cheat meal. But the steak, it was, if I'm eating at the time, like if I was eating steak or chicken, I would eat more steak than chicken. And that's not healthy. That was very unhealthy. Brock Lesnar versus Lashley, or Goldberg versus Lashley. Yeah. I think the big money, they're going to do what they want to do with all of that. And it is what it is. I like Bobby a lot. And I hope as long as Bobby keeps the title, I would like to see Bobby have an even longer title reign. I think if Brock comes back, I think Brock is coming back to go over Lashley, and because Brock will be smart, but Brock will get a deal worked out where, and that's the game. I think it would be cool to see Bobby go over Brock, but I think if Brock's been gone and comes back, Brock put over guys on his way out. I think Brock is coming back and going to go over. I don't know what the long-term plans are with Goldberg. Goldberg's put over some guys here lately as well, which I think is great. I think there's still, I think it's an intriguing matchup. Goldberg's getting a lot older and he's not active at all as far as in ring wrestling. I don't know what that match is like. I think it's the same formula for all of his, right? But I do think it would generate still attention regardless. And I think WWE is just milking everything they can in the final matches of Goldberg. and giving him his those big matchups. And so with that and his age, and every year adds up with this stuff, and every 6 months, when you get to that point, and injuries, and so it may be getting the whatever they can left out of Bill, and I think it's great. I think Bill, he has a large fan base, and if they do good business, they do good business. So I think Brock versus Lashley is definitely money, and I like Lashley being heel with Brock. I really, really do. But I think that's a very physical man. Lashley's a badass. I love Lashley. I'm happy for all of his success and going back, and actually, because he was a guy that should have had that his first time around. But it's all come together for him. He came back, and they didn't pull the trigger with him multiple times again. And finally, I think he's really. I always liked him and Leo Rush together. I thought him and Leo together was big money. But I think they found something great in a different way with him and MVP that, for whatever reason, just works. And I think MVP is very, very key to Bobby's success from a character development standpoint. Good question I saw there on the personal training. Let me get to that. Ryback, hey, Mitchell again, buddy. Ryback, I got my job as a personal trainer. Do you possibly have any advice or tips? Thanks. I hope to have my own gym someday, Lord willing. Congratulations. I think genuinely want to help people. Care about the people you're training. I knew a couple trainers here in Vegas. One of them was fantastic, and he had a wide array of clients. And he would talk to me when I was younger, 20 years old, working at Gold's Gym. Joe Peroni, great guy. He lives in Vegas. I wish I talked to him more. He he was very good to me. Joe would talk about the client's needs, and there's some people that just need emotional support. There's people that, and they're going to use you just to have someone to talk to while they're training. There's going to be others that have bigger goals. And my thing is, though, truly, genuinely help people and get them in shape, and but also you're going to be able to adjust and communicate depending on their needs, and that's going to take a little time, and being able to read people and seeing and building relationships for them. But don't stop learning. I think, like I don't know everything. I'm always trying to learn, though, and get better and evolve. And I think if you keep that mindset and use your time to learn about health and fitness as much as possible, you know how I do this, and I talk about things, and I don't know all the answers to things, but I tell you guys what I'm learning about, and then hopefully you guys can go down that path with me, and you start reading, and like you get the book Salt Wars or different things that I suggest, the Plant-Based Athlete, and different things. And I think if you're able to do that, you're able to pass that knowledge on to your clients, and the word of mouth that you're going to get from that on how great of a trainer you are and how much you care is going to allow you to reach your goals of having your own gym someday, in my opinion. Italy, what's going on? Check out my new feeding time video, Tarantino's Vegan Italian Restaurant. Good question there. What are my thoughts on the transgender athletes competing against women athletes, or vice versa? I'm completely familiar with all of this as far as what's going on. I saw some like memes and different things. Shit, I think I even posted one. I think they eventually just need to have their own class. I think there's too many variables in that. And I think you need to have a new gender class. I think in the early, I don't know how many athletes there are, but I think if you just make an entirely different class, you eliminate any of these problems, right? And that would be, I look for what's the easiest, most logical, common sense approach to this. Because otherwise, we're now dealing with personal opinion. on what someone thinks is right, not right, hormone levels. There's too many variables at play. And it's not fair to everyone involved. Life's not fair at the end of the day either, but I think you just create a new class. And I think that, what issues are there then? There's none. And I think everybody wins in that with that right there. Yeah, the jackfruit, they have it in certain foods. It doesn't have a ton of protein, though maybe some does. But it actually could be, I know you could use it to cook some pretty badass vegan things. Yeah, thank you for agreeing. I just look at it like if there's enough athletes, and I think even if you do it, even if there's one and they're not no one to compete against, eventually there will be. And I think we just eliminate any issues with that, and maybe that would help encourage more to go for it. And it's not going anywhere, right? So I just think we have to learn because we've done things a certain way. That's great. You do have to evolve and adapt and change and adjust in things as we continue to evolve as a species and go on. You just, rather than try to like put a square in a circle, let's just create a new class. Problem solved. I had a great 4th of July. I actually had a very, very good 4th of July. Thank you. But this is a good, what's the best Feed Me More supplements for weight loss? I would look into our Shell Shock Extreme Fat Burner. That is our best seller. I just posted a photo. It was shared on our Instagram account. Man, I think it was H-Town Girl Dad that shared it. His amazing transformation using Feed Me More Nutrition and the Shell Shock Extreme Fat Burner. Real person, real results. And I had nothing to do with it. And he shared it. And then we get the images done. I think that will greatly help you if you do the work. I would look into adding, maybe stacking it with the Wake Up Unlimited Energy. I think it stacks very well with that. Or if you don't want quite as much stimulants, that the Brain Feed and the Shell Shock work very well together as well. You won't go wrong with Feed Me More Nutrition. It is the real deal. I have not thought about politics. I think politics are corrupt. And I think that I look at a guy like Tony Robbins, is to me a very motivational person that has more influence than people in politics. And I think sharing beliefs and ideas and communicating with people it can have a much greater profound effect. And then you're not caught up in that game of lobbyists and people. I think it's a very dangerous thing, which is why I think you don't really see too many. I think people that are honest that get into it can't stay honest because of the nature of politics. I've never been drawn to even learn about politics. I have such a bad vibe with it, on all of it. It's so corrupt. It's just so, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. I think I'm better served out of that environment. I think I make too much sense. Common sense is a thing of the past as well. Do I think a Nexus return at SummerSlam can happen? I think anything can happen. But I think with what's going on with me, with WWE and what they're doing to me and my social media, it's just too personal. I don't think I ever have anything to do with them ever again. There's not been one phone call on their part. There's nothing, no apology. They are suppressing my social media. They are trying to ruin my life. I want nothing to do with them. If things, there's just so many problems with what they're doing. I'm going to win the Ryback trademark. I'm going back to pro wrestling and I'm going to kick ass and I'm going to live my life and I'm going to make sure I get everything fixed. And it is what it is. And my best years are going to be known from not wrestling there. My opinion. That said, anything is always possible, but I do not foresee that happening. Yeah, the fat burning supplements we have is very low caffeine. What I would do though, if you do have high blood pressure, one, I would make sure your sodium consumption is where it needs to be. That's the quickest fix on that, getting that under control. But I would have the label and show your physician the label, and just to make sure, and they will usually be able to give you, if they're good, a definitive answer on that. But we use all natural ingredients, a lot green coffee, bean matcha, green tea, cayenne pepper, cool cayenne, the ginger, the Asian ginseng, L-carnitine, acai berry, apple cider vinegar. The ingredients are kick ass that we use in that, which could actually be beneficial to blood pressure. But with that said, there's a little bit of 40 milligrams of caffeine per serving, which isn't a lot, but there's a little. And I always say, always check with your physician because I'm not a doctor. Yep, the success isn't owned. Success isn't owned. It's rented, and the rent is due every day. I've got that back there, and I'm a big believer. It's over here on the Instagram video. You can see it, and I got it another spot in my house as well, just to remind me not to be content with what I've done in the past, and with where I want to go in the future. Every day is an opportunity to improve in one way, shape, or form. And just that hashtag hungry mindset that I preach and I've trademarked, and that it is my just do it of my Nike logo. It is the hungry is the just do it for the Feed Me More mindset, the Feed Me More Nutrition brand, which is why we have that, the Feed Me More Nutrition hungry. And it's in all areas of life. And I tell people I'm not in the supplement business. I'm in the self-empowerment business. I sell supplements as part of being in the self-empowerment business and helping people empower themselves through our mindset that has helped me overcome adversity and get me to where I am in life and where I want to continue to go. And you got to every day, and you can still, and it's a balance in all areas of life. With that, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up tonight's show. I appreciate you all always joining me here on the Ryback Show. As always, Feed Me More Nutrition. Save 20% on feedmemore.com with discount code Ryback Show 20. We have our spin and win wheel. We have a new blog on sodium. I highly encourage you all to check out under the nutrition section on the blogs on the website on feedmemore.com. And our spin and win wheel, where you can save up to 35%. But if you've already signed up for everything, you could always just save 20% listening to the show. Discount code Ryback Show 20. Thank you guys very much. Have a great evening. Stay hungry. Feed me more.